Hello everyone and welcome back again. My name is Tom Nelson and this is a continuation of the Diabetes Control video course. This is video lesson number 11. It's step number 5 of the 6 steps to gaining complete control over your diabetes. This is part 9, how your body produces fat. All foods contain a mixture of fats, even foods like chicken, fish, nuts, and oils. They contribute some saturated fat to your diet. Though they are much lower in saturated fat than, say, beef, and especially dairy, things like cheese, yogurt, or ice cream, they do, however, contribute to it. So the word fat carries a negative impression. But the fact is that your body actually needs a healthy form of fat every single day in order for it to absorb, store, or utilize the fat-soluble vitamins, which happen to be A, D, E, and vitamin K. So there are, again, several types of fat. The unsaturated fats are found in plant foods, and they are also found in fish. They're heart healthy, especially when they're used in place of saturated or trans fats. Unsaturated fats are found in salmon, avocados, olives or olive oil, and walnuts, just to name a few. Saturated fats are found in meat and other animal products, especially in dairy, butter, and cheese. Eating too much saturated fat can and it will raise your blood cholesterol levels, and it will increase your chance of getting heart disease. So trans fats are found in stick margarine. They're also found in certain foods or foods from restaurants, like snack foods, cookies, cakes, and deep fried foods especially, or fried foods. So when you see hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils on the list of ingredients, that food does contain trans fats. So like saturated fats, trans fats can raise your cholesterol, and it can also increase your chance of getting heart disease. Fat is not your enemy. You will want to choose the right kind of fat and the right amount of fat. So if you're getting most of your fat from lean meats, from fish, and heart-healthy oils like extra virgin olive oil, for example, fat can become your friend. In fact, you absolutely depend on them. But your body can manufacture fat from sugars, including fructose from fruit. So because glucose from carbohydrates, sugars, and some proteins is very damaging to your bloodstream, if it's in the bloodstream in high amounts or for a very long period of time, it can cause very significant damage to the bloodstream. So your body was very specially designed by Mother Nature in order to store the glucose outside of the bloodstream until it's needed between meals. So your liver is your primary fuel storage tank, your glucose storage tank. Your liver can remove up to 100 grams of glucose, which is usually less than half of that because your body never totally uses up all of the glycogen that's in store, and it converts it into glycogen. Remember from earlier videos, enzymes, once the glucose passes through the membrane, break it down and compress it into a very compact form called glycogen. And then that compact form glycogen is stored in the warehouses inside each of the cells up to the limit that they can store. So your liver then releases the balance of whatever came from your digested meal into the general bloodstream. And then the vascular system will carry it to the second storage tank, which is your skeletal muscles. Now that's a much larger tank because you have a massive amount of skeletal muscle. But it can remove up to 400 grams of glucose, which again is usually less than half of that. And again, it converts it into glycogen and it stores it inside of the cells. So if you've eaten the right kind of food, which should be low glycemic index foods, and the right amount of food, there's only going to be between 4 and 5 grams of glucose left in your bloodstream once all 37 trillion of your body cells have taken up as much glucose and has stored it as they can. So there will be no excess to cause any damage. Your little guy in the control room, your hypothalamus, is designed to allow 4 to 5 grams of glucose in the bloodstream, which means that will produce a blood sugar of 80 to 100 milligrams per deciliter as read on your scale. So if you've eaten too much food, too many carbohydrates, too much fruit, and most adults today in our modern diet eat up to 3 times what their body actually requires for a day, there will be too much glucose left in the bloodstream with nowhere to go. So remember, high glycemic index foods, things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, short grain white rice, sugar, and especially wheat, are going to produce double the amount of glucose that will enter the bloodstream, and it will double the amount of rise in your blood sugars. Your hypothalamus, the little control room in your brain, is going to order the release of more insulin together with the liver. The two of them will convert that excess glucose into triglycerides, force them into storage as fat in your adipose and visceral fat cells, and some of it is going to be used to produce additional LDL cholesterol. But the intent is to reserve it for future energy needs. Some of those excess triglycerides are going to be converted into LDL cholesterol, as I said. So fat can come from poor choices in your diet, from eating the wrong foods, and eating too much food. So since your body converts everything you eat into glucose, protein, vitamins, minerals, water, and other things, eating too much food will produce too much glucose, and then too many triglycerides will be stored as fat. And again, since carbohydrates are converted mostly into glucose, eating too many carbohydrates, even if they're low glycemic, can result in too much glucose, which will become triglycerides and then fat and LDL cholesterol. Fructose from your fruit is a special case scenario. Fructose can be up to taken up by the muscle. It cannot be taken up by your muscles and used as fuel. Most of the body's cells cannot burn fructose as a sugar. It cannot convert it into glycogen. But your liver can, and your liver likes it. So your liver is going to pull as much of that fructose out of the bloodstream as it possibly can, and it's going to convert it into glycogen because the liver can convert fructose into glycogen. And then that glycogen can, by the liver's cells, be converted back into glucose instead of fructose, back into glucose, and then released into the bloodstream. So if you eat too much fruit, usually 50 grams of fructose a day or more, then your liver will become overwhelmed, and that excess fructose is going to become triglycerides because of that excess glucose, and then it is going to be stored as fat. So alcohol, again, is very high in sugar, which will result in the liver converting much of it into triglycerides. And you should also be aware that alcohol stimulates your liver to produce large amounts of LDL type B cholesterol, that dangerous, life-threatening form of cholesterol. Beer is very high in carbohydrates, which is going to be converted into glucose, into triglycerides, into fat, and to cholesterol. If you eat too much protein, you can cause increases in your blood sugar because half of the amino acids that make up meat can be converted into glucose. Meat is a primary source for diet-based triglycerides. The fat that's in the meat gets broken down in the intestines, converted into triglycerides, and then put into the bloodstream. So your diet can be a primary source for fat accumulation. Protein, carbohydrates, especially high glycemic index, and alcohol can be as much a cause as sugars and fats from your diet. Eating a fat-free diet is no guarantee that you will have lower LDL cholesterol or not add additional fat to your fat stores, as you have seen. So again, the fats are stored in those adipose fat and visceral stored tissues in those cells in the central body area, because of that direct vascular connection to your liver. So let's make things worse. If you're overweight, your central fat is larger than average, you have an 80% chance that you're going to be insulin resistant. Remember, insulin resistant, where the cells won't uptake glucose, so it stays in the bloodstream, and the higher numbers will then eventually cause your fatty liver, which causes your liver to malfunction. When you have excess central fat, it results in that malfunction of the liver and of those insulin receptors on your body cells. And so the glucose is going to remain in the bloodstream in elevated amounts. And that, again, is going to be converted into triglycerides and fat and LDL cholesterol. Thank you for watching, and please pay it forward. Thanks again.